experience the full power of the dark side. Good.
We will deal with your rebel friends soon enough.
What the? Lisa back.
Prepare to fire.
Oh no!
Hello and welcome back to Star Wars Beyond the Stars for episode number 52, recorded on Wednesday, November 18th, 2015. I'm your host, Fred, aka Sith Lord Korv. And joining me tonight is the commander of Sith Intelligence, Agent Louis Olan.
Hello, Fred. Hello, everyone, Hitbox, YouTube, Twitch, and iTunes. What is going on? As always, it is time for tea. Ooh. Coffee. Coffee. This is Sith Intelligence. I spilled the tea. Oh. All right, it's coffee.
It's all in Triky's fur now.
Duh.
That's it. Since Veteran Day's over, you don't get to hold her anymore. Come here, Triky. Come here.
Yay.
Oh,
I mean,
sit on
what a
Uncle
shame.
Pallais' lap.
What a shame.
You never notice how Tariq looks like Pallais?
Yep.
There's a striking resemblance there. They have the same teeth. And also joining us is the captain of the ship, Captain Cambrai, aka Paige.
I'm back from Terrace, cured of the plague. Thank you for that.
Malachi Quinn tended to you in the tent.
That's okay. I shot him after.
Lou said last week that was cruel and unusual punishment.
I believe it. I was unconscious for most of it, so...
Well, that's even worse. That's a whole nother level of crime.
Don't make it weird.
And over to the janitor. Speaking of weird. Pallais the janitor. Welcome back.
I'm glad to be here. Standing by the captain's chair because Treek has left some sort of liquid on it, and I'm not sitting there.
That is not the captain's chair. That is ID-10T. Who we did not... He wouldn't even bother introducing that stupid robot last week. Alright. What is going on in the captain's log tonight, Paige?
I won't be telling you.
Oh.
Alright. Everybody shut up. Coming up in the captain's log, we have KotFE, Chapter 1. Not the kind that you drink, the kind that you play. And we have Agent Olan's intelligence report, where Lou will present the Exiles.
Way better.
And as always,
frickin' SIS bullcrap.
No. Now.
Whoops.
Be fair.
Whoops. I was being fair. I let you read it. I didn't kill somebody for you picking that topic. Pallais.
And as always, we do have something quick to mention. And this comes from yesterday from Eric Musco in the forums. And the post refers to the referral program, which is temporarily unavailable. Where Eric writes, "Hey folks, during maintenance we discovered an issue with our referral program. We have gone ahead and temporarily disabled it until we can address it. If you already have someone referred, you will still receive rewards normally during this time. However, while it is disabled, you cannot refer any new players. Your referral links will not work during this time. Once we have a time frame getting things resolved, we will pass it on. Thanks everyone, Eric."
Broken forever.
No, I hope not, because that's actually a pretty good program. I know we've all used it to our advantage, and it works.
I know, I got the Kurtab Alliance speeder by referring people. That guy that was moving the couch for like a year. I finally subbed up, and then I got a speeder.
It's a nice speeder because it's speeder 3, even if you only have skill 1. So,
and it's hard to knock you off that thing.
Exactly. Plus, hey, who can say no to 7 days of game time? Come on.
Oh, nobody. Well, remember that little promotion, Lou, where we recruited each other like years after we'd been playing and got
yeah, exactly.
We got like a free server transfer or something out of that.
It's like we're subscribers and we're referring to each other anyway. It's like, wow. It's like I need the extra 7 days anyway, but okay, I'll take it.
And now they send me a box on every character I create that I can just sell for 3,000 credits.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Because I'm like, all that's in it is like this perk stuff, and as a subscriber I have all this crap anyway. I'm like,
right.
Yeah, sold.
Gotcha.
It's some nice little starter cash on a new character.
It is. Definitely is.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and move into the captain's log, because we got some stuff to talk about tonight.
Oh, yes.
And first off, before we get into this coffee crap, we're going to talk about how Paige and I played the game over the last couple days.
No!
We were both playing Power Techs.
I didn't even want to be playing with this guy.
Or technically, I was playing my bounty smuggler, and Paige was playing a tank, Power Tech. And so I'm a DPS, she's the tank. We get into a flashpoint, tactical,
which I did not want to do.
Boarding party. And let me paint you a picture here. Paige was the tank. Everybody else in the group was queued up as a DPS. But we had an operative there who was a DPS. And this operative saw fit to go around and crowd control things and try to get us to sneak around everything, even though he wouldn't bother to cast a single heal spell, as Paige repeatedly died pull after pull after pull.
Yeah.
It was complete and utter bullcrap. I've never seen anybody that queues up as a DPS that has a healing ability in a tactical that won't use it and just lets the tank die on every single pull. And then we had probably the worst Marauder in the game, who would just jump in there and pull like 2 other groups of stuff while Paige was already dying to the first group.
Oh, God.
It was pretty horrible. And it got to the point where when we would get to boss fights, I would have to orchestrate clicking on the little healing nodes, or Paige or other people, including Paige, would die. And then there was one time when everybody was clicking on heal nodes, so none of them were cooled down, and we had a wipe.
Can I just say, I had not played my Power Tech in a long time, and I needed to be eased into it again. And he didn't let that happen, so for the first, 10 minutes, I was really derpy, because, they took away a couple of my abilities. I was like, what used to be here? I don't know what I'm doing.
Grapple.
And, grapple, I don't have that right now. For the first 10 minutes, yes, I was a little derpy. However, I wasn't so derpy that I should have been dying on every pull. I really could not take a hit, at all. But it did get better as time went on, especially when the Marauder stopped pulling extra groups.
Yeah, that was a big problem early on. I just couldn't believe that the operative wouldn't use any of his healing abilities.
I can believe it.
Made no attempt whatsoever to try to keep her alive on any pull. And I'm not particularly blaming him, because I know he didn't queue up as a healer, but I know myself, if I was playing a DPS and I had a healing ability, I would do all in my power to try to prevent the tank from dying. But
right, because wiping just wastes, it just makes it longer for everybody, and even if you want to kill stuff, healing at least lets you get through faster.
Mm-hmm.
We had a few unique things happen in this flashpoint other than the combat, though. This is the first time that we did a tactical where we're being scaled up to level 65, which was interesting in and of itself, because the little level sync window actually points the arrow the other way, and your level lights up in green, showing that you've been raised up in level instead of lowered. And
cool.
For some reason, even though my actual level range was 30-ish, because I was on Tatooine,
mm-hmm.
It was giving me gear drops that were level 60 plus. And I got a chest piece at one point that was purple, and it had no stats on it whatsoever. I don't know what that was about. And I really don't know why I was getting gear that was 30 levels above me, because that's not helpful at all.
Yeah, that's a bug.
Yeah.
Because at least when you do the heroic 2s, it should give you, when you open the box, it should give you the level appropriate gear.
Yeah, This was just like the trash drops inside of the flashpoint. Like it was dropping actual gear, and when I would loot it, it would be like green and blue items that were level 63-ish.
Huh.
And I'm like, okay. And then I don't know why. This could be something with me. Maybe I'm supposed to exchange this somewhere or something. And I don't remember if I looked at it after I was out of the flashpoint to see if stats popped on it after the fact, but I looted a chest piece at one point that was purple, and when I got out of when I was in the flashpoint, I moused over it, and it had 0 stats whatsoever, and it just looked like a trash chest piece the bounty hunter could get leveling up. So I don't know what that was about.
That'd be interesting to see that, take a screenshot of that tooltip and see what that looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, the level sync is new for them, so I'm sure there's a number of bugs because you noticed in the latest patch notes all the, I think, smuggler and gunslinger gear that they fix the icons for.
Well, I hope they do that with the operative because I know Chuck from Bad Feeling Podcast, he plays a sniper, and my main is an operative. And when you go to the fleet to look at the vendors there for your gear, none of the icons match. Okay, like our headpiece, the operative headpiece, looks like it's a pair of boots.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the bracers, all the armor, the actual icons don't match the actual item.
Yeah, someone had posted a Twitter image of their helm had pants, so they were running around literally with pants on head.
Well, that's funny because my bounty smuggler is the one that I tried to use the Nico Okar's duster on, and it's kind of difficult when you're Imperial side trying to find gear pieces that actually match that thing. I managed to do it, though, and got him in that outfit. So he has like an alternate smuggler-looking outfit. But it's kind of disappointing you can't get that cowboy hat anywhere, though. Best I could do was the bounty contract one. That kind of looks like a cowboy hat with a mask.
Well, yeah, because even the ones you get on Rishi are class locked.
Right. Well, I just wish that because the cowboy, I do like that cowboy hat look that they have in the game. I just wish, kind of like how Nico has it when he wears it. We can still see his hair. Because that would actually fit a lot of looks that people are trying to do with their, with their characters when they want to pair up a long coat like that with the traditional, Western look, American Western look. And it just drives me nuts because, they put that, I don't know why they put that silly, headpiece to where it's like part of a suit. A balaclava that you wear in the wintertime to cover your head and your hair. It's like, why would you incorporate that?
Well, because they actually remove your hair.
Right, and the thing is they probably couldn't figure out how to actually make your hair look good with the actual headpiece on.
Right. Because, if you have a Mira Luca and you have a hood up, a lot of times if you, depending on whether you hide the head slot or not, you can your mask will clip through the hood, which is really strange. So I think they just went the route of least resistance for that.
They could probably easily, though, make a helmet that has hair attached to it, so they hide your natural hair, and the helmet has hair that they just auto match it to whatever color your character's hair is.
Right, or, they would probably, though, people that would then complain, it doesn't match my actual hairstyle.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, the game already knows we only have a set amount of hairstyles in the game and hair colors. I don't know how hard it would be just to say, okay, for the smuggler's hat, when you choose to wear, or that traditional hat, cowboy hat, fine. We only have 20 hairstyles in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather that they change the way that my hairstyle appears, just make it look like messy sticking out of the hat, as long as my character has hair.
Right. Though if you had dreadlocks or something, it could be disconcerting, so...
Hey, you had to undo those things if you wanted to wear the hat.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, especially if people are complaining that, Valen has hair under her cloak and no one else does, so...
Well, Valen's also a much higher resolution model than any player character.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is true.
Alright, speaking of Valen, let's go ahead and jump into our KotFE discussion.
KotFE Chapter 1. We have our opening scroll and then a bit about the Emperor knowing that we're coming, and then it shows the character arriving on Darth Mar's ship. And so then you speak to one of your companions to prep the ship while you go to speak to Mar. Then at that point you can talk to a officer, and it gives you an option to start the tutorial where you get a limited set of abilities and they unlock as you go through the chapter, or you can just X out of it and have your full set of abilities and continue on. I haven't done the tutorial to see how that flows. Because I've used my existing characters, I've just said, no, I don't want the tutorial because I know all my abilities.
Yeah, exact same here. When I got to that point, it's like, wow, well, that's great they put it up there, but nope, don't need it. I know what I'm doing. And just to build on what Pallais said, I do like the first point here when you first arrive in space, when you actually rendezvous with the fleet, Mars fleet. Okay, again, a nice high-resolution cinematic of the your class ship entering the same space as the fleet. And I wish they bring it back in the vanilla port too, but just saying. And I also do like how they meshed your main character, your avatar, and your companion. Okay, I think, who was it? I know my operative. I believe it was
Khalil?
It's Khalil. Okay. And on the gunslinger, it's Corso. Or on the smuggler, it's Corso that you talk to.
I think it's always your first companion that you got.
Right, because on my Sentinel it was Kira, and my Warrior it was Quinn, which makes sense. Now, it might be if you have a love interest, they might be there, but I really do think it's your first companion.
No, wait. You just said Quinn was yours?
No, it was...
Vet.
Sorry. We were talking about Quinn earlier. No, it's Vet. I'm sorry.
Vet.
My mistake.
I was like, oh, it changes.
No.
Yeah, the thing is, I can't be with that, though, because the Jedi Knight, your first companion is T7, and it's always shown with Kira.
Yeah.
Well, that could be an exception, though, because Jedi Knight's like the only class that gets two companions within the first two planets.
Right, and they want spoken dialogue, whereas T7, you just gotta to read it and listen to his beeps and whistles, so...
That would be hilarious, though. T7, go prep the ship. And then, you're on the ship, and you get that little beep, beep, boop, 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 boop. Get out of there, T7. Get to safety.
Yeah. Yeah.
Save that for later.
We're getting there.
No, the romancing your droid was a part of KOTOR 1.
Oh, yeah, I should have mentioned. This is going to be full spoilers of Chapter 1, so if you haven't played it, be prepared. We're going to go through the entire chapter in detail.
I think we have to put a PSA before the segment in the editing portion.
Right.
Or by the way, yeah.
But then again, they have shown this in their stream, so if anybody's paid attention, if anybody's paid attention to the existing BioWare streams, they will have seen all of this before.
Yeah, plus we've announced for 3 weeks in a row now that we were going to start doing this and spoil these.
Right.
So, Chapter 1, I mean, come on. We're over a month into this now.
Right, and it's
supposed to do it.
And it's mostly a tutorial level. It's designed to get a brand new player who's never played an MMO, give them some experience and give them context for the story. If you played KOTOR, you woke up on the indoor spire and worked your way off of it. It's the same situation. Exactly.
And one thing I will note, though, because playing this on my smuggler, when you have a chance, you actually meet the actual captain of the ship. Even though Mars in charge, there's always a ship captain in charge of the actual ship. And if you're playing a smuggler, the great interaction when you first meet each other, Captain, I'm waiting for that traditional, are we going to banter back and forth like this now?
You hear that?
We're both ship captains.
You hear that, though? Captain, in charge of the ship? That's right.
We let the janitor drive last week.
Is that why we're lost?
It's also why your chair smells like trash.
I thought you had sat in it.
No. Pallais gets those old jumpsuits once Julius from Everybody Hates Chris is done with them.
Wow, okay. Moving on.
No, I have a hazmat suit.
Same difference.
And building up on this, after you speak to the captain, I know there are a couple of other NPCs in the area that you can click on, talk to. Well, not talk to, but hear something come out from them, lines of dialogue, and also in true BioWare fashion, all their games, you also have side conversations from other characters in the area. Okay, I know one of the officers you speak to. Oh, one of the officers lighting the hallway, because there's an honor guard there awaiting your character. And depending on what faction you are, and depending what class you are, that particular NPC will react to you. Okay, so if you're Republic, there's going to be a Republic NPC that will react to you once you click on them, and the same for an Imperial character. Is an Imperial NPC that will react to you appropriately if you click on them after you move past the ship's captain. And then you're going to hear some really, I guess, mood-setting dialogue from the other NPCs in the area. It's same thing, same vein as if you play Shadow Revan, between the mistrust between the Imperials and the Republic as to what's going on. Like, hey, we're doing this again. What's up?
So
right, no one. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say I do have a question because I've only played this Imperial side so far.
Mm-hmm.
If you go through Republic side, well, I know Imperial side. When you talk to Mar, he kind of basically dismisses the Republic and says they're kind of worthless and they're not going to be much help. Mm-hmm. What did you say when you're Republic side and you talk to him?
If you're Republic, he's going to ask you. He's going to, he'll tell you that, hey, he's actually appreciative that the Republic did send aid, but it's not enough, and he admits it's a token force. Because yes, Zaresh, and the Senate have only sent like a token force to represent the Republic's interests. Considering the fact that the last time where we are in this part of the story, both sides know that there's a really big threat out there of overwhelming force, and even though the Alliance has worked in the past, especially with Shadow Revan, whatever forces the Republic has sent isn't going to be enough. So basically, yeah, he's glad the Republic's there, but it's not enough, and it kind of grates on him because, yeah, the Empire is going to bear the brunt of most of the fighting at this point in the story, and in his mind.
And if you're a Jedi, you can say, well, even if the Republic doesn't do anything, the Jedi Order understands the threat of the Emperor and will support this. Right. They don't necessarily like working with the Empire or the Sith, but they know the Emperor's a threat to everybody, and they will come help. And that tends to mollify Mar a bit. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, at least, you're going to do something. I haven't done a non-Force user yet, so I don't know what they say.
Well, you kind of find out later on in the story, not in this chapter, that Mar has like a bit of an appreciation for Jedi that was unexpected.
Yes.
That's for a different day.
Yes.
Different week, in fact.
Different week, in fact. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what my trooper has to say about the situation when I run her through.
Yeah, that's right. Because I haven't run my Shadow through.
Okay. So then you're talking to Mar there, and he tells you that he can sense the Emperor out there. He knows that you're close to him. And then out of nowhere, a probe just comes and like shoots all over the length of the ship, like it's taking measurements or something. And Mar gives the order to destroy it. And then out of nowhere, a giant fleet suddenly appears out of hyperspace.
And that probe appearing and moving and that switch really shows the power they've given to their in-game cinematics. I mean, that's definitely different than anything they've done before. Because that's fast-moving, stuff's happening, it's shifting back and forth. So that's really cool to see that. They've definitely upped the storytelling for that.
Yeah. That was a neat effect. And again, you get to see the outer space scene, which is really HD now and looks beautiful.
Yep, especially to that part where when the probe does finish scanning Mars' flagship, Okay, and zooms off to another part, and then, Mar orders the fleet, or at least, the ship, his ship, to turn around and destroy it. And just as the probe disappears, what appears out of nowhere, well, out of hyperspace, you get your first glimpse of the Eternal Fleet. Okay, and man, what a view that was. When I first saw that, I was like, bleep, damn, that's a lot of ships.
Yeah. But then we find out later we can deal with them.
Right. But then again, but later on in the story that you realize that's only a very small portion of what's at Victorian's disposal. That's only a very small portion of the Eternal Fleet. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
If that's a small portion, you don't want to see the entire fleet assembled.
Well, and one thing, too, was kind of amusing was, I thought, was Mar says, turn 180, and I'm like, okay, you're turning around, so the fleet's on one side. It's like, why didn't you just jump forward? They didn't quite show something in front, like trying to box them in. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, okay, the writers weren't quite thinking through what they were writing. If I can turn around and leave, but it also looks like I can go straight and leave, why didn't I just go straight?
Well, I think he mentions that is because he wants the fleet, the Eternal Fleet comes behind him.
Yeah.
Comes up behind the Alliance fleet. Well, Alliance, the Allied fleet there. And he hasn't turned around to engage him.
Right. But it was still funny because the image shows him like at a 90-degree angle instead of at a 180-degree angle. It's like, okay.
But then again, it does remind me of if you watch Star Wars Rebels, all right, the second season started, okay? And hopefully, spoiler in case you haven't watched it yet. Dun, 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 dun. All right, they introduced some new characters into the series. Okay, if you remember the first season, you had the Grand Inquisitor. Season 2, you find out there are more of them. Okay. And the one you meet, was it the Seventh Sister? Okay. Sarah Michelle Gellar, she tells you a behind the scenes thing is that lots of times what will happen is that the writers and the voice acting actresses will record their dialogue weeks, sometimes months in advance of the actual animation. So what they had in mind in saying and what the actual artists in the end produce sometimes doesn't make sense, or it's like, wow, that really worked out pretty well. So I'm thinking to myself, wow, okay, they probably recorded this scene, orally, maybe several months ago, and realized, oops,
right,
fleet's facing that way.
Yeah, because they wanted to show the ship turning, and they wanted the fleet in the framing shot. It was just funny because I'm sitting there thinking, logically, it's like, that's not 180 degrees. But it was just funny. One of those little moments that, you see and go, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but then you just got to, suspend disbelief and move on.
Yeah, well, after that scene's like when all hell breaks loose, and like with most times when you're on a ship and things start going downhill, your character volunteers to go deal with this problem, so you run off, and there are sky troopers that have boarded the ship, which are like a really advanced Zakul version of a droid. And these things are all over the ship, and you fight through them, and you eventually reach a gate that has a Republic and an Imperial soldier. And they're fighting off these Zakul forces, and they close the gate, and you see soldiers inside being attacked, and the two soldiers outside are arguing over whether they should keep the gate closed and let those people die, or whether they should open the gate and try to save them. And when you arrive, you get to make the light side or dark side decision to either save the soldiers or let them die.
I let them die!
I've done both, and there is a small consequence later that I've seen, and somebody will remember your action, which was cool. It was a nice little beat somewhere else.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I think that's too far ahead of where we are right now, though.
Right, I'm being vague, but I'm saying It's nice that at least through the first playthrough, there are certain story beats where you see consequences to your actions, even if they aren't big, traumatic consequences. Your choices do matter in some places.
Mm-hmm. Well, suffice to say that this is the first choice you make in KotFE that you will feel later on. So BioWare meant it when they said, yes, in this expansion, your choices will matter, and yes, your character will feel it. Yep. It's going to have an effect later on in the game.
Right, and we don't know if that's the last spot. That first choice can still, because there's more chapters to come, can still ripple on. It would be interesting to see how it all works. If they keep referencing back to that very first decision. Oh, and I wanted to say, too, it took, I think, if you weren't aware of it, it takes people a little bit to realize that the Sky Troopers are droids, and that it made me laugh because droids seem to be the safe enemy in Star Wars, the guilt-free mob that you can kill, slaughter hundreds of droids without feeling like a bad person.
Yeah, but meanwhile, though, what do we have as the achievements in the game? Was it Beastmaster?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, killing droids is cool and all. Not killing people is not cool. Killing people is not cool. But yeah, we can slaughter every four-legged or flying creature in every planet we visit.
Oh yeah.
SWTOR Torpedo would like to have a word with you.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I feel perfectly fine killing anybody that's wearing a brown robe. Doesn't make me a bad person. It makes me a good Imperial. Okay, so after you make your decision whether to save those soldiers or let them die, you continue along fighting until you receive a call from whichever companion you talk to first in this chapter that boarded Mars ship for a brief moment with you. And they tell you that the attack is causing a potential threat to the safety of your ship, so you have to head their way to free them from the docking clamps. And so you take off that direction, and then you end up reaching a Sky Trooper boss droid that you have to fight. You guys have any opinions on that fight?
I found it pretty easy, but I was coming in with the Yavin gear, the 192, so I didn't have much problem. I'm interested to see what it would be like with a boosted character and you were doing the tutorial mode if it was harder. Also, I'd like to see if, well, in that case, you have no companion, so the existing companioners aren't going to affect that. So it'd be interesting. It was a nice story beat, or action beat, rather. It's really not a whole lot of story, but I didn't find it difficult. It just kind of broke up the nature of the combat.
Yeah, pretty much just a tank and spank encounter.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I thought it was pretty nice too, the fact that your companions are calling, and in true fashion, they are your crew. Okay, whether you're light side, dark side, you're gonna go. You're gonna have to save your crew.
I wish there was an option though, where you're just like, I don't give a damn about those people, and you just continue on your business on Mars ship and just let them get destroyed, and then later on it's like, well, all your companions died. Or they're really mad at you because you didn't go help them. Right.
Or at one point, the uber nerd side of me was like, just disengage the docking clamp from your side of the ship.
Not in the Star Wars, or at least the Zakul Empire. It's like, once we have docked with you, we're not letting go. It's like super glue.
I was playing on Korv the first time I went through, and I got that call from Vet, and, I could take or leave her. She's like, oh, we're stuck. And I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, all right, I'm coming for HK. Can't let 51 go down. I just rebuild him.
Or, another thought on my mind is, okay, in a galaxy where we travel in space and we're in a spaceship, some of you put on some spacesuits, just, hop on outside for a quick, extra space walk and just shoot the damn thing off.
Or plant some thermal detonators on the docking ring and
just have at it. I mean, wait a minute, right. Bet you have explosives. You throw grenades.
But come on, send Broodmark out there with his claws.
I mean, I can see going to. I mean, your ship is your escape from if the situation gets bad. So I can see going to want to make sure that you can get off if things go really bad. But
Right.
I always go back for my ship. That's where my clothes are. That's where my jacket collection is and my blaster collection. So, yeah, save our ship. But the
Shriek.
people, whatever.
Oh, that's the other thing. This is a little bit of a tangent, but I just now thought of it. I haven't done the entire coffee experience on one of my characters that had Shriek unlocked. You know how at the end of it, when you're reunited with, like, HK and your ship droid and stuff, there's a little cutscene? Is there one of those for Shriek? Or
yes.
Shriek? Okay. I can't wait to see what that is. Alright, so continuing, you free your ship from the docking clamps, and they they don't take off, but they fly out a little ways. And then you continue. Well, you get another option. Once your ship is free, your companion's like, okay, so now what do you want me to do? And you could either tell them to flee and get to safety or to defend Mars' ship. And I don't think either one of those was light side, dark side, was it?
No.
No, it was just approval or disapproval from Mar. Though I think from the stream that was supposed to. That's a consequence later. You know, if you tell them to stay or you tell them to go. So we may not see the effects of that until we start seeing all those particular companions come back.
Yeah. Well, as we'll find out later, Mars' approval means nothing.
Yeah.
Whoa! Cart before the horse!
Not
Well-
really, because we spoiled that one a couple weeks ago, because that
Actually,
is
is
in Chapter 1.
Actually, it can matter because I have seen people stop KotFE as soon as they have Mar and use him as a regular companion.
Oh, that would be neat.
I saw him in the as a companion in the Rakghoul tunnels.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. And then when the next thing comes out, maybe you could just move into the next content and still have him.
I don't think so. I think the hard part.
I gotta go
No.
back. I gotta go back for 55.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep, you could do that then
just
too.
give me a reason for living, Pallais.
But I mean, you know, if you really wanted a particular companion that may disappear because of story reasons, you know, you can always put them on a character who's never going to finish the story, because there are ways to level without being involved in the story.
That is true, but is it going to hamper you when the next content comes out? Because it may automatically delete whatever story bits you have, and that companion could go with it.
Right, but this would be a character you'd say, I'm only going this far in the story and no farther, you know, and you just freeze, you know, if you wanted, you know, Mar permanently as a companion, you would just never continue with KotFE ever.
That's
and
true. But when
and-
whatever's going to come after KotFE comes out, it may wipe out all your KotFE progress, like how KotFE wipes out the main stories before it.
Right.
Might be if you want to play this expansion, all your KotFE stuff's going away, so wrap it up now or whatever, and then as soon as you accept that, any companions you had from being partway through go away, and you just get all the companions you would have got through KotFE.
Right. I mean, it's something to do at least for the next however long before they release the next big expansion. So, you know, you
Hey.
can at least enjoy it for a while.
And if it's that character that you're really not concerned with finishing KotFE on, who's to say you even want to do the next expansion on that character? You'll be able to get to the level cap doing the normal stuff.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, I'm going to have to do that now, boy. I'm going to have to go through on somebody and collect all these KotFE characters you're not supposed to keep.
Yep.
All right, so continuing along.
Oh, could you set him up in your stronghold and be like, I got Mar over there. What up?
Yep.
Probably not a decoration.
Darn.
No.
Okay, so you continue down an elevator where you see a cutscene of Mar destroying skytroopers like a badass. Then he becomes your companion.
Oh,
And
yeah.
as an added tip, if you're a healer yourself, you'll probably want to change his role immediately, because in KotFE, all companions default to being healers.
Yeah, the first time I played through my operative, and I just at that cutscene, and I just took off. I was like, "Cool, Mars my companion." And then I went to go to the first group of Sky Troops. Like, wait a minute, what's going on? Why am I doing all the work? Oh my god!
Should probably also note that this tip means a lot more now since they just nerfed companion heals and damage.
Yes.
So if you don't switch his role, you may have a difficult time progressing.
Right, and they apparently people are saying they up their ability to tank. So it might, if you are a healer, switch into tank mode and see how well that works for you. Because even as a healer, especially as you get higher influence, they were still putting out some decent DPS as well. So it's worth trying. Experiment and see how it works for you.
Yes. Okay. So Mar informs you that the bridge is now secure, but without main power, the ship will be destroyed in seconds. You must now go to try to restore the power. Be clear along further and defeat a droid boss that is guarding the console you need to restore the power. And upon reaching the console, you click on it for a conversation with Mar, where he informs you that the hyperdrive has been completely burnt out and you're basically sitting ducks at this point. A brief holo message from the bridge tells you that the ship has been further boarded and is being overwhelmed, and it's a little scene from that officer that you first talked to where you can pick the tutorial or not. Mm-hmm. And she basically, they're shooting at her and it cuts out. And then you're presented with a light side, dark side decision where you can tell people to evacuate the ship, where they will attempt to flee in escape pods, or tell Mar to have the ship ram the Zukul fleet at full speed. Darth Mar likes the ramming option.
Okay, and before we go into the hat, when you get Mars companion, relish the little lines he has too, because they are a lot of fun. I find them fun. Okay, it's Darth Mar. You have a Dark Lord as a companion. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Chanting the Sith code.
Right, and in certain parts of when you get to that droid, before you get to that droid boss, all right, there is some trash you have to clear along the way. All right, because it's never that easy in SWTOR. And every now and then he's going to get little updates from his officers on the bridge, especially that male officer. Okay. And at some point you're going to realize, yeah, this is why Darth Maul is the Lord of the Sith. Okay. Where this guy is giving so many updates. He's like, you know what? Speak only when necessary.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Or I'll cut out your tongue. Like, yeah, you know, I would say the same thing, Acro. Like, dude, I know Bleep is falling all to hell right now, but keep it together.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought you should know, Mar. The toilet is overflowing too. Just so you know. Everybody's like,
yeah.
Get off the channel!
And then Mar would be like, if we survive this, remind me when we get to the deck to kill that officer.
Yeah, right. I've been the same way. I'm like, you know what? Can we kill him once this is over? He's really annoying.
And then he beeps it again. He's like, water is now on the floor.
Like, you know, in the Sith Warrior story, there's an actual point where Darth Barris is on a completely different planet and he force choked somebody to death through a holo terminal.
Yep.
You mean to tell me Mar can't do that when this annoying guy is calling him on the ship?
He's a little busy.
Yeah.
Well, no, remember, this is only audio. I think what's always been the key to that is that there has to be some sort of visual reference.
Yeah, well then, if that's the case, as soon as you feel yourself getting choked, you reach out and you turn off the terminal.
I was like, Mar, turn on holo communicator. Why? Just do it. And just choke that guy, please.
Yeah. So, then you awaken on a strange ship, and Arkin comes to greet you. Your hands are bound.
Wait, before we get to that, though.
Okay.
Remember that decision you made earlier on between saving the soldiers or letting them die?
Gonna be important later.
Yeah, you are going to see a cutscene of one of those characters in an escape pod who is going to witness Mars flagship exploding. Okay?
Yeah, that happens either way, whether you ram them or you don't.
That character is going to be in an escape pod, looking out the observation window and looking upon your Mars ship getting blown up.
Yes.
Of course, they don't tell you how you survived. the ship blowing up.
Yeah, they don't. You wake up on this strange ship, and you're in like a little bunk bed type thing, and your hands are bound together, and you still have whatever weapon you had.
Yeah, that's pretty strange.
So you wake up, and Arkin comes to greet you, and you can pretty much threaten him, ask him some questions, or you can keep silent the whole time he's talking to you. And you find out that you're in the Immortal Empire now, because you get reunited with Darth Maul, and he asks them where you're at.
Right. And this is, again, where I mentioned earlier on, where BioWare has upped their game in terms of their in-game cinematics. All right? Because this cutscene from the get-go is, at least to me, it looks really great. Really pretty. Yeah. And especially when they tie in between Arkin, okay, and those dark city troopers that are guarding you, all right, and even your own character. Wow. I
really like their eyes, because their eyes aren't just like orange or red. Like, they have an actual texture to their eyes with their dark side corruption. Like when you see Arkin's eye up close, and Valkorion has the same thing going on. It's like a special texture. And then Senya, who you'll meet later, has like a blue version of that, which is really neat. I like the way they have those textured eyes, and I hope eventually they make that an option for player characters.
Or if anything, maybe update the models for the characters anyway, so that we do get that kind of resolution.
Yes,
and that kind of Christmas. That would be very nice.
Okay, so you get reunited with Mar, who finds it convenient that you're in a new empire now. When you were just looking for the Emperor, Darth Maul is also bound at the wrists. You walk down a long hallway having a conversation with Arkin, where he can talk and you can respond to him, or you can just keep quiet the whole time and let him talk. And pretty much he laments some of the things that you did in your 1 to 50 class story and how much impact you've had on the galaxy. And then you get approached by Heskell, a Scion, who approaches and spouts doom and gloom about Arkin's actions. Arkin is quick to dismiss and threaten him. Heskell is a Scion, which is basically like a prophet in the Zakuul Empire, who kind of are advisors to the throne a little bit.
Yeah, they remind me more of the Scions are more like they're the consulars and the inquisitors of the Zakuul Empire.
Or Voss Mystics, that's...
Yes.
I would say Voss Mystic is more accurate, because they get visions through the Force, and then they try to always make their visions come true, no matter what they saw. So then you proceed into the throne room, where you are greeted by the immortal Emperor Valkorion. Which, this is that scene from the trailer where he's like, "You've come all this way. What do you want?" And then you can tell him, you want justice, you want answers. Or I'm pretty sure you could just be quiet in that instance too. But either way, you give him some kind of response, and then Darth Maul immediately pegs this guy as being the Sith Emperor and calls him out on it. Your character questions Maul about it, and Maul reassures you that it's the Sith Emperor. Maul comes to the conclusion that this is why the Emperor has been silent and missing from the Sith Empire for so long, which if you've ever leveled up Imperial side, you will see that the Sith always mention how the Emperor has been silent for a long time, and the Dark Council's pretty much been running things.
Right, and it's been happening for a long time. It's just the Dark Council has kept it quiet from the populace for so long. I mean, I think centuries. Where the Emperor's been silent. I think before that even happened, he would just disappear for days, weeks on end, and then after a while, he just completely disappeared. The Dark Council had no idea where he was, what he was doing. But then, since they were in place already to run the day-to-day stuff of the Empire, they just kept going along.
Well, then you have that whole voice of the Emperor, hand of the Emperor thing come up. So it's like, there was always something going on where you thought, maybe he's around, but you didn't, no.
I mean, to the point where Darth Barris even tried to exploit it and claimed that he was the voice of the Emperor.
Yep.
Because the Emperor wasn't around for a while.
Right.
And then the real voice presented itself. But that's the Sith Warrior story.
Yeah. The Emperor does have an interesting line. He says, "A mistake has been made, but by whom?" Which is an interesting one because it's ambiguous about what he's referring to and what your assumptions are. So I'm curious to see how that's going to play out over the remaining chapters, the ones we haven't seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's some interesting, and I'll talk more about it when we get to chapter 9, about just what the Emperor has been doing and why he seems to be acting different than what we have seen previously in the 1 to 50 and in the Shadow of Revan story.
Okay. So then, Emperor Valkorion suggests not to fight him, but rather to ally with him, kneeling to him. And Valkorion releases Mar from his binders. Mar flips the heck out, refusing to ever serve Valkorion again. He grabs one of those lightsaber spears from a Zakul knight and impales another knight that's running into the room.
It's not just impale, he chucks it like a real spear.
Yeah, he impales this dude, and who falls down dead immediately. And then Mar starts using the Force and just throwing everybody into the chasm on either side of the walkway. And then Valkorion he gets this look like he's just annoyed, and then he basically just snaps his fingers, and this huge surge of lightning just completely envelops Mar and destroys him. Mar's just laying on the floor dead.
Which probably made every lightning sword go, why can't we have that kind of power?
Yeah.
I know I did. Like, hey.
Well, I know the first time I saw this, like, my heart sank. I was like, no, Mar!
I know, right? He was my BFF forever.
I really wanted him to be the next Emperor.
Yeah, Mar was the coolest
the bad
Dark
guys.
Council member. Yeah, for the Empire. I mean, he was the one who was very much for the Empire, but when events changed, he was willing to change with it. I mean, he used Malgus's ideas when it suited him, and he stood up for the Sith Warrior and the Sith Inquisitor when they did their story finale in front of the Dark Council.
Yeah, and
he said,
"Oh, sorry, go ahead, Pallais."
I was going to say, no, he basically said, no, this challenge goes on. You're going to have to deal with it. And so I've always liked Mar as a character.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Because, Mar has always been, yes, you know what? He is, after all, he's a Sith Lord. He's a Dark Lord. He's bad through and through, but he's also pragmatic. He's practical. And he knows when things change and when things, don't work. And he's at least open to trying new ideas and new ways of doing things. And I think Fred and I were talking about this a while ago, off air, that, you know what, if the storyline had, goes to where, you know what, even without KotFE, if somehow the writers are brought into where Mar becomes an Emperor, my Imperial characters would willingly follow him. Because he would be the one Dark Lord that all my Imp characters say, if the Empire is reformed after this, yep.
Yeah. He wasn't the leader that we deserved, but he was the leader that we needed.
Wow.
Wow.
So then he was laying there dead on the floor with little ripples of lightning going over his body. And Valen appears for the first time. And Valen's like, okay, clear the room. And it just leaves you and Valkorion and Arkin in there. And then Valkorion makes you the same offer after a long-winded speech. He's like, okay, you could share my power if you know what I mean. It's like, okay, well, that last guy that refused didn't work out so well for him. But you still get the option to refuse to kneel. And if you refuse to kneel, Arkin steps forward as though he's going to strike you down. Instead, he uses his lightsaber to cut your binders and betrays his father and releases you. Arkin then attacks his father, to which Valkorion is blocking everything he throws at him effortlessly. And then you stab or shoot Valkorion and run him through, and he appears to die. Then, if you agree to kneel, your character kneels, and Valkorion starts to channel his dark side energy into you. And then Arkin gives this little speech where he's like, He's like, oh, I've waited so long for that very offer that you just came in and willingly accepted. And then he's like, so since you've done what I cannot, now I'll do what you could not. And he stabs his lightsaber through his father. So either way, Emperor Valkorion appears to die, falls down, and Arkin gives the order for the guards to drag you away while he's giving a long speech to all the citizens of Zakul about how the Outlander has murdered their beloved immortal emperor, and he's assuming the throne. And then your character's dragged away and frozen in carbonite. And that's the end of chapter 1.
Well, part of the dialogue with that, though, once Valen has the room cleared, okay, your character is presented with the options saying, one of the dialogue options is, why'd you clear the room? What are you afraid of your minions hearing? Which to me, that's a direct challenge. Okay, if you're so powerful, why would you need the room to be cleared? Now, what don't you want your people to see or witness?
Well, the irony there was that the Emperor didn't give the order to clear the room. Valen did. So it almost makes you wonder, are Valkorion's children of the Emperor, where he could just take control of them like he could the ones in the Empire? Because he never gave them a command, but they seem to act in turn. And actually, when I went the route of not kneeling to Valkorion and Arkin cut my binders and then I started fighting him, there's actually a part where Valkorion seems to strike down Arkin and he's laying on the ground, and then you stab or shoot Valkorion through, and I actually thought for a moment that Valkorion's body died and Arkin was already dead. I thought that he took over Arkin's body and that was Valkorion inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
But didn't appear to be that way.
Well, and given the children of the Emperor from the Consular story, you don't know how much of himself he's put into his children. You know, what little hooks are sitting in their minds. I mean, he definitely taunts his son about basically having envy and jealousy, but not real ambition. So it's like, he's still definitely disappointed with Arkin. And, of course, Arkin has tremendous daddy issues from that.
Right. And plus, folks, when you realize that fight, though, not even a fight between Valkorion and Arkin is like, Valkorion doesn't need his saber. Okay, he's blocking those attacks with the same ability that Teal Shan displays from the game. Okay, where she's just blocking the energy with a force shield, and he's doing the same thing. It's just bouncing off of him. And, even though Arkin's so powerful, again, nothing compared to his father. Okay. And as you guys mentioned, especially you play in terms of, we don't know how much of himself the Emperor has put into the children of the Emperor, again, from the Consular store, and what actually is, what's going on inside of Arkin and Valen's mind.
And one thing just occurred to me. Go ahead, finish.
No, get play.
He talks about how you move events on the galactic stage like he does. And it suddenly occurred to me, up to this point, all of his underlings have said the Emperor has lived so long, he's had so much experience, he has plans within plans, he foresees so many different things that he's prepared for all the eventualities. And it's a nice little story beat that because he views you as an equal, there might be something where he cannot predict what you are going to do. That's why he is trying to verbally swing you over to his side, because you're a wild card. He doesn't know what's going to happen when you're involved. The Force does not give him any reliable visions or anything like that. So that's why I think you were able to either shoot him or, stab him through the heart with the saber and things like that. And so that's why you are uniquely important to the story. They don't make it explicit, but if you stop and think about it, that would explain why he is so interested in you.
But if that were the case, why didn't he see it coming when Arkin stabs him through if you knelt to him?
Well, as part of that, probably, I thought about that, and it fits in with his plans to where again, spoiler alert, folks, we're not going to get into that, but I think at this point in the story, he needs his physical form to go away. All right, because as we've seen in Shadow of Revan, all right, he's regained his corporeal form, so to speak. Okay, or he's been brought back, whatever. So at this point, at this point in the story, maybe he doesn't need a physical body. I mean, yeah, he can get another one because he's so strong. He could probably just take over another living being's body and just completely destroy and kill that person's their personality, that soul, so to speak, in that body.
Well,
and just take it over.
If you go off of the Revan novel, Valkorian's original form, he's a Sith pureblood, so that isn't his original body anyway.
Right. So for him, his physical body dying, no big deal. He's done it. It's happened before, and I guess this is part of the overall story to where, at this point in the story, he doesn't need his physical body because he needs to set other things in motion so that, his children, so Arkin and Vale, can't track him because, with no body, there's nothing to track. They can't see anything. And even then, they won't be able to see what he's doing.
Well, and to go back to your point, too, is your character may be so powerful, so influential, that when you're involved in events, no one can see exactly how they're going to end up. They might think they see certain consequences, but you're the one who actually chooses them, so you could potentially obscure what other people are going to do around, that you basically are reshaping the galaxy to meet your will, and you don't realize it. And so that may be why Arkin, if you kneel, Arkin can, stab his father through the heart.
Right, that you are as your unique position to where the Force somehow can't give, like you said before, can't give him reliable knowledge on anything. That there's so many variables, he can't track them.
And his intent, because you are kneeling and he's giving you his power, he may not be totally focused on his son. I mean, that may be that momentary distraction that allows Arkin to kill him. Or slay the body, anyway.
I mean, personally, I believe that he's trying to get you to gather up these powerful people, your alliance, so to speak, and get all these people together in one location, because ultimately he wants to do what he did on Ziost and consume everybody to become even more powerful. I think that's like the overarching theme here.
Or he's using the Zakul Empire as a crucible to create a new civilization in the galaxy that dominates everything.
Yeah, but I don't think for a minute that he doesn't want to be the one sitting on the throne, and his ultimate goal is probably to take over Arkin's body.
Right. Or yours.
Now, I imagine he wants Arkin, because if you watch through the Sacrifice trailer and everything, there's a very specific reason that he kept one of those sons. And only acknowledged one after it killed the other.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Arkin's going to play into it somehow. And I think that he wants Arkin to become powerful, and he wants to take him over. I think that us finding him was no accident.
No, there's a number of things that aren't an accident, so...
Okay, so we'll get into Chapter 2 next week. And we're going to go ahead and move into the Star Wars recommendation of the week. What do you have for us, Paige?
Boom, boom, boom. This is something that I want for the ship. And I heard about last week's recommendation. I don't know how I feel about that. But for those interested in actually getting a look at the recommendation of the week, we'll be posting a link with a photo on the Facebook wall. And this comes from a new website for me, and this is the only thing I've looked at there. And
Sister site of stupid.com.
I'm almost afraid to look at anything else there, but it's called fancy.com/things. And then a bunch of numbers. Anyway, get your very own Death Star. It's casted, solid resin, hand-painted, and clear-coated. This cool sculpture will look awesome no matter what you do with it. On your hot rod as a shift knob, on your ship, on your beer tap as a tap handle, or just set it up as a cool sculpture. Da-da-da. That's it.
I didn't know our ship was a manual.
That's why every time you drive, we end up nowhere.
We end up in plenty of things. We ran into the moon of Endor the other night. He gets us places, just bad places to be.
Hey, I got us to Terrace.
Yeah, that is true, but you took us to the Republic side, so you get no points.
You didn't specify.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to go to Terrace in the first place.
We'll just be the Endar Spire too.
All right, Lou, what do you have for us in the intelligence report this week?
All right, folks, this one's going to be a short, brief intelligence report because I'm using this to set us up for the next couple of weeks. So, this week, we start into the Exiles, banished into the unknown. And we start off with a little quote from Sorceress Zin, where she says, "There were 12 of us, including several high-ranking commanders. High General Ajunta Paul, Martinez Ziljan, commanding the Black Legions, Baron Draper, our fleet's sole remaining admiral, Karnus Mur, whose force-centered battle tactics had saved us from the trap at Fluwaka, and I, Zorza Sin, grower of living weapons and biological plagues." The Exiles. It was a term used in the Galactic Republic space which referred to the 12 Dark Jedi survivors of the 100-Year Darkness, who were captured and banished into the unknown regions along with all their minions. See where this is going, folks? They eventually went on to become the first Sith Lords. Former high-ranking commanders during the war against Jedi, the most powerful Dark Jedi among the Exiles were Ziljan, Remulus Draper, Karnus Mur, Zorza Sin, and Ajunta Paul. In the Sith, they were known as Gen Jedi. So, Exile. And again, another quote by Zorza Sin. "The Jedi, so confident in their triumph, did not execute us. With lightsaber pointed at our backs, they marched us aboard the galleon that would take us into exile outside the Republic's borders. In 6,900 before the Battle of Yavin, the 100-Year Darkness ended with the Battle of Corvus by defeating the Dark Jedi. Although members of the Galactic Republic wanted public executions, the Jedi leaders were inclined to banish the rogue Jedi into the unknown regions in hopes that, with time, they would see the error of their ways. The fallen Jedi were stripped of their arms and armor and loaded into unarmed transports on a barren world by their Jedi captors. They were seen out of charted space by an escort of starfighters and left to jump blindly into the uncharted space outside of the slice." And this takes us into the next section, the Janari, or, in the words of Ajunta Paul, "I was one of many. We were servants of the dark side. Sith Lords we called ourselves. So proud. In the end, we were not so proud." But the Exiles were not traveling in that direction. Guided through the Stygian caldera by Zorza Sin, who has spent years collecting rumors about the legendary kingdom of the Sith, they eventually reached Korriban, a planet strong in the dark side of the Force and home to the Sith people. They awed the Pyramid species with their display of dark side power and forged an alliance with the Sith King's Shadow Hand to gain the confidence of the King Hakagram Grouch, and then overthrew him. They declared themselves rulers of the Sith people and became known as the Lords of the Sith, with their leader being called the Janari, or Dark Lord of the Sith. Some of the Exiles, however, were not satisfied to rule the Sith and wait to gather their strength. Within a year, some Dark Jedi, led by Baron Draper, returned to the territory of the Republic to attack the Jedi. They believed they now had the power to crush the Jedi Order, but they were wrong. Their premature actions served only to alert the Republic and their defenders that some of the Exiles had survived and taken control of a region called Sith Space, out in uncharted space. Those who remained behind used their alchemical arts to blend their DNA with those of the Sith, allowing their lineage to continue through the Sith species. This concludes this part of the Intelligence Report, and as always, wish to say thank you to Wikipedia, StarWars.com, Force.net, and all the Star Wars lovers sites out there. Folks, as always, if you enjoy the Star Wars history and universe as much as I do, go to all these sites, look up your favorite topics, and enjoy.
I like where this one's heading, Lou.
Oh, yes. This is just I know it's short and brief, but this sets up a whole slew of future intelligence reports of what's coming up.
That's okay, Lou. I'm pretty sure our discussion topic made up for it this week.
Yeah.
Okay, because I like this one because lots of times people don't realize the Dark Jedi come first. The Sith haven't been around that long. Or the Sith as we know them in TOR, in KotFE, and in the Star Wars, the movies era, okay, as they appear.
I really like how BioWare portrayed the Sith pureblood, though. I think that they're a very cool species. Okay, so with that, we jump into the Community Holo feed.
Our trivia question of the week. Each week we're going to post a trivia question into the audio and YouTube video version of the show. The audio version will feature 3 clues, and the video version will feature 5 clues. Shoot us an email with your answer to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. In the email, include character name, faction, and server. Again, character name, faction, and server. Don't be like me when I entered it before and forget one of those important pieces of information. If there is more than one correct answer, we'll do a random drawing to win a cartel pack. Everyone that makes a serious attempt will be entered into a drawing for a much larger prize. Correct answers will get 2 entries into the drawing. You can be entered into the grand prize drawing every time that you answer correctly.
And yes, this week we do have a winner. Okay, and the winner this week is, drumroll please, it's Pluto, from the public side of Ebon Hawk. No, not the planet, folks. Oh, I'm sorry, Planetoid, since Pluto lost his planet status. Thanks, Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. However, he guessed, or she, I'm not going to assume, guessed correctly that last week's question was Scorpio. Yes, because if you've played the Imperial Agent story, you do know that Scorpio's existence came about. Her original purpose was to guard secrets, treasures, knowledge, artifacts on Belsavis. Okay? And she'd been left alone for so long. She had undergone no memory wipe, so in the end, just like in the Star Wars universe, if a droid doesn't have its memory wiped regularly, what happens is that droid will eventually develop a personality. Will have quirks, habits, and in Scorpio's case, because she was an exceptional machine to begin with, became fully sentient and conscious.
Her original purpose was for the Star Cabal, right?
Yep. To safeguard their whatever they found, the technology, things they uncovered and stuff, and she was their original their guard program.
And I believe people that they machinified somehow or put into stasis.
They put them in cultal tanks because they wanted to keep their knowledge available, so they were basically preserved.
Yeah.
And after a while, Scorpio had learned that she could download her programming into droid bodies at will. And eventually, when you first meet her as an agent, okay, non-spoiler if you haven't played this Agent Star by now, eventually what happens, you force her to take over, she takes a droid body, and you defeat her that way.
Yeah. Okay. And at first, she makes your life hell on Belsavis.
Yes, she does. At first playthrough, I was like, who the hell? I am going to kill whoever this is.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise because you didn't know. If you didn't look up spoilers, you had no clue that was going to be your next companion.
Exactly. I mean, I had, very first playthrough, the first month and a half of the game's existence, I was playing my agent. I was like, when I got to Belsavis, and she was just, I was like,
oh, this is going to be a dark side decision here.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't care what it is. I'll make it up somehow, but I'm going to destroy and kill whatever or whoever this person is. Because they're making my life miserable right now in this world.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on winning, Pluto. We should also mention that we are going to change the trivia question of the week to be bi-weekly now. So we will ask a question, and it will run for 2 weeks, and then we will select a winner. That's just to give people more time to enter. Because I know sometimes people need time to actually get to the episode that week, so we want to give people a little bit of time to enter. Especially since we've been getting some new entries since we've been posting the clues on the iTunes version of the show as well. Mm-hmm. Well, I should say the audio version, because I don't want to exclude our Stitcher Radio listeners there.
Right.
Okay, so Paige, what's going on in our SWTOR community?
Bet you'd like to know. All right, in your SWTOR community, you can check out our fellow SWTOR podcast, Most of them are available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at SWTORnetwork.com. There's Corellian Run Radio at CorellianRun.com. There's UntiniCast at UntiniCast.com. SWTOR Escape Podcast is at NewOverlords.com. The Usual Podcast is at TheUsualPodcast.com. We have some friends over on iTunes, Passionately Casual Podcast, Old Republic Radio, It's a Trap Podcast, and finally there's the Bad Feeling Podcast at BadFeelingPodcast.com. Be warned, that's an explicit podcast. You can also follow Madmar at SWTOR Family for the latest happenings in the SWTOR community, and if you'd like to have your podcast listed on this segment, send us an email at StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com.
Okay, now I'll tell you how you can get a hold of us again. You can find out more about our show at StarWarsBeyond.com. You can like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/StarWarsBeyondPodcast. You can send us an email to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. You can tweet us. The show is at StarWarsBeyond. I am at Sith Lord Korv, KORV. Lou is at GamerGuy11B. Paige is at Asaphiry, ASAPHIRY. And Pallais is at WowPiper. And now it's time for our final thoughts.
My final thoughts are, Chapter 1 was an excellent start to the story, and BioWare definitely isn't afraid to kill major characters. That was something that was really cool in the 1 to 50 with the arc that Malgus went through, and seeing them being unafraid to kill off a popular character like Mar was, an excellent start that nothing is off the table as far as their storytelling is concerned.
My Mar will never die again now that I know I can start and not finish.
He could be with me forever.
Forever?
Little creepy. Okie dokie. My final thought is, one, we're 30 days away from The Force Awakens. That's awesome. Next, I did want to say that last year during the holiday season, I did release a holiday Star Wars shopping guide, and I plan on doing that again this year, and I'd like to release that next week in time for Black Friday, so keep a lookout for that. I'll tweet a link and put one on the Facebook wall when it does release, and it will be on our website. So I'll give you a list of a bunch of stuff that you can find for all your friends and family for your Star Wars needs, and I got something special for Jay Connell.
Hey, my final thought. I am glad we are finally able to start talking about this openly. And yes, even though we are doing our best to keep things spoiler free and keeping things out of the other chapters as of now, but I'm just glad we're able to start talking about this and start expressing ideas and comments and suggestions more openly now. Now that we're afraid, we don't have to be afraid to spoil for a lot of people. And yeah, I mean, that very first time when I saw Mar die so quickly, I was like, no!
Every time after that, I didn't realize that there was a button on the UI to take back a dead character stuff, so I'd always take away his lightsaber and let him die unarmed.
Wow.
Kind of like when you're playing Dragon Age Origins and it's just instinct to strip down Davith and Jory right before you know they're going to go through the joining.
Exactly.
It's like,
just in case, man. Hey, you know what? Let me hold on to your stuff, just in case it doesn't happen to me.
Well, at least I gave him a little bit of dignity. I took away his lightsaber, and then I gave him one of those trash ones that I could duplicate through the cartel market. Here you go.
Wow.
You have this. I'm going to give Lana your lightsaber.
I would have given him the Rishi sabers you got if you're a Force user. Ugh.
No, that stupid one that the Artificer can make that has the handguard that clips into your hand.
Yeah, like the Sky Raider one and the Rishi, the Raiders. Yeah, I don't want those.
Yeah, here you go, Mar. You can have that.
A memento of Darth Mar.
Farewell. You can have this stupid one with the narrow blade from the cartel market.
Exactly. And the thing is, though, Chapter 1, as Pallais said, does kick off KotFE quite nicely. I mean, if you've never played a BioWare game before and seen this for the first time, yes, and BioWare is known for this. Okay, Chapter 1 starts off with a bang, saying, yeah, this is how great of a story BioWare can tell. With their dialogue and with the scenes that they create, to flesh it out. And it's going to be a great ride for for the listener for the next 8 chapters till Chapter 9. So you have plenty to look forward to. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, we're almost like an audible version of the KotFE story now.
Yeah, minus side conversations, the NPCs, the actual dialogue between the characters.
And if you picked light side, skip ahead 15 seconds.
Piece of Path adventure book.
If you chose
Yeah.
dark side, skip ahead 1 minute and 14 seconds.
Lana Benico remembers this decision.
Oh no, I died on page 142. Let me flip back and choose a different option.
I didn't take my finger off the other page, so I technically didn't jump ahead.
I'm really gonna do that though, guys. I'm gonna play through the coffee story and like quit at a certain point to keep somebody.
See what happens. Yeah, see what happens. It'll be cool.
Right.
My HK is shinier than yours. All right. Beyond the Stars is an independently recorded fan podcast made in association with NSG Productions. And speaking of which, we are in the planning stages of doing another NSG Christmas special. Stay tuned. And now it's time to say goodnight.
Good night, everybody. Keep it clean.
Good night, everybody from the captain's chair. Keep an eye out for that article. It's going to be released before Black Friday.
Take care, everyone. Thank you all for joining us tonight. See you all next time. And next time, I'll bring the tea.
We already got ID10T. Good night, everybody.
You've served your purpose.
Beyond the Stars bi-weekly trivia question asked on November 18th, 2015. First clue. Often seen as savage, we could talk, think, and invent. In time, we would engage in commerce as well. Second clue. Although isolationist in most cases, trading our technology was seen as useful, if a bit distasteful. Third clue. We would trade and sell our inventions to all sides, any faction in our history. Fourth clue. Our preferred means of travel while on the ground was to curl up in a ball and roll. Fifth clue. My species excelled in many cutting-edge designs not only for weapons, but also in droids. Some we modeled after ourselves. Who or what am I? And as a reminder, folks, 3 clues are going to be featured in the audio version of the show. Check out the video version on YouTube for an additional 2 clues. Send an email to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com, and in your email include the answer, your character name, your faction, and the server you play on. And did I mention your faction? Good luck, everyone. Looking forward to your answers.